Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Saturday. It's Daryl here. It is bright and freaking early, 3:30 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. I'm making this video as fast as I can before I chicken out. All right, let me start at the very beginning here. I've talked about being groomed. I was groomed. The real grooming. I've talked about that in the videos past. One of the videos was called "I Was Groomed." If you go back in my videos, you'll find it. I've talked about this before. If you watch my channel, my father died when I was 9. My mother started dating a police officer from Watertown, Connecticut. His name was Pat. I'm tempted to say his whole name. It doesn't really matter because he's dead now. I got a bad feeling from him right off the bat. I talked in the other video about how he started sneaking playboys to me on the side. He slipped me a condom for when I needed it in the future. I was like 11 years old. He said he'd always be there for me because I lost my dad, and he'll help me get a car when I'm 16. This is like when I was 9 or 10. And in my other video, I brought up one particular incident that just sticks in my mind. And I'm going to talk about that today. And I'm going to talk about it quick before I change my mind. The reason I talk about this morning I came across an article on LGBTQ Nation. It's a media site that comes up a lot on my Flipboard app. You guys know I use the app Flipboard to get a lot of these news stories. And it's a media site on the liberal site, under the liberal view heading, and it's a site that comes up there a lot. And this morning, the article was about grooming, and it's got a clip. The article link will be down below, so you can watch it for yourselves. And it had a link. It had a video. I think it was from Media Matters, and it had people from the right, Fox News, One America, the whole bunch of them. Alex Jones, I think. That little pasty-faced Charlie, what's his name? All of them. And it just had one after the other saying grooming, grooming, groomer, groom, over like 100 times. And I've talked about this in another video. And right off the bat, it made me angry when, like, Marjorie Taylor Greene said something about princess groomers from Disney World. And it started making me angry because I felt that's minimizing, it's trivializing the word of what happened to me. I'm going to tell you guys. I probably won't even be able to monetize this video. I have never told anybody this, not even my family. This is a tough time for me too, because in 2004, Mother's Day, 2004, I think it was Mother's Day. I actually that's when I finally told my family what happened to me. I was in my 30s by the time I finally told my family. I never told anybody this story, and you're going to see why in a second. So anyway, this they use this. They throw around this word grooming. They call Disney a bunch of groomers, and it makes so this article that's in LGBTQ, it hit home. It trivializes. It hurts people. It takes away from people that are kids now that want to talk about being groomed, being abused. It trivializes it like it's not a big deal. It's happened to everybody. Disney's doing it, and it misrepresents what grooming is. I've never talked about this. Never. I've never told my girlfriends this. My friends from high school, my closest friends, you'll see why. They knew about this. Never told anybody this. All right, here we go. So, and this is grooming, not this Disney stuff that the DeSantis is trying to scare people with. All right, it started. This whole thing with this cop started when he started dating my mother. I can't even remember. I was probably around 10 years old. He started slipping me these Playboys in penthouses. I remember him giving me a condom and a wrapper. Like I said, I think I was 11 years old. For when you need it. You know, he's a buddy, he's a guy. You know, I'm helping you out. Here's a little something, don't tell your mom, you know, because we both like girls. You know, I'm a guy just like you. I'm a rough, tough, tumble guy, just like you. How's the stem of your stinger? And he grabs me by the genitalia, right? That's not the big story here. Okay, so as I was 12 years old, as I started to get taller, he knew I wasn't going along with this. I wasn't okay with this. The reason that I didn't fight tooth and nail, I shouldn't even have to say this, tooth and nail every time, was because I was scared for my sister. Looking back, I knew he wasn't interested. Now I know he wasn't interested in my sister. It was me. I mean, he was manipulating me, but I was scared. If I didn't cooperate, something might happen to my 6-year-old. My sister that was 6 years younger than me at the time. Like I said, I was 11. She was 5 years old. I was terrified. And, so I put a lot of my resistance to the side because I didn't want anything. I didn't want this to happen to her. Like I said, looking back, I knew this is just more manipulation. It was me that he wanted. All right. And he knew that I think there was some instance where I said something about my mother, and I think he was worried that I was going to say something. He says, "How about I get you laid, Daryl?" I was 12 years old. He was in his 50s. He was born in 1926. I remember because his license plate said YR26, Connecticut. So, and I was a regular randy 12-year-old guy, hormones raging. And it sounded like a good idea at first. I had this picture in my head. Maybe he knew somebody in the neighborhood, and I could make her my girlfriend, or, an innocent picture in my head. Okay, this is what happened. So, it was New Year's Eve, 1979. My mother worked nights as a nurse's aide. After my father died, she worked very hard to be the father and the mother. And she had no idea. So I was home alone watching my sister overnight. She worked overnight from 11 to 7 as a nurse's aide. So I was all by myself in the house. New Year's Eve, she was working. And it was all set up for New Year's Eve. I was terrified, 12 years old. And all I knew, he was going to bring somebody over. So I was going to lose my virginity. And my friends knew about this. I was talking to my friend on the phone. I stole a little liquor. I took a shot of liquor at 12 years old. So I was terrified. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know how it was going to happen. I was in my bedroom, in my home, watching over my sister. My sister was asleep in the other room. My mother at work. And I'm talking to my friend, my best friend in the world. I don't know what's going to happen. And he's excited. My friends are all excited for me. Oh my God, it's going to happen. There's a knock on the door. I put the phone down. I'm like, dude, I'm terrified. I'm going to leave the phone here so you can listen. Right? To this, nobody ever knew I did that. He does. My best friend, Andrew, he still knows. He knows now. All right. So 50-something-year-old Pat comes in. And he's got this woman with him that's in her 30s. Well into her 30s. I was 12 years old. He was 50. It was New Year's Eve. It was about 12 in the morning, 1 in the morning. My mom at work. And I remember she was wearing a fur coat, and she was hammered. She had a drink in her hand. He had a drink in his hand. Yeah, looking back, I got the feeling that she was a professional. This isn't what I envisioned. All right. This is a long time ago, but I remember, I feel I have to do this. There's 2 grown adults in my bedroom. I'm 12 years old. There's this drunken lady with that's all she had on was the fur jacket. Nothing underneath. She took it off. I was excited. And she got on the bed. And I did my thing. At 12 years old. Pretty quick, I realized that Pat had locked the door to my bedroom. I think, it's just to be safe, so in case my sister woke up. And I realized that he was sitting in a beanbag chair behind me watching me the whole time on top of this woman. In my youthful randiness, I remember bits and parts of it. I remember, that I kind of hit the top 3 times. And she didn't even realize. And she's like, it was about 20 minutes. And she's like, are you ever going to finish? And I was like, I already did 3 times. And that's when I got off. I thought it was over. And the room's dark. The TV's on. That's when I noticed Pat wasn't wearing any clothes. And then he got on my bed with this woman. And I just stood there horrified, watching the whole thing. And then they left. That's how I lost my virginity at 12 years old. And now I look back, a lot of the reason I think this happened is because it made me a part of the conspiracy. I never told my mother this. To this day, she doesn't know about this. I told her on Mother's Day what happened when I was still using. I'd been smoking crack all morning, 2004, Mother's Day. I was in my 30s, and it just all came out. But not this part, because I knew this would hurt her. About doing it in the house while she was at work. She doesn't know about this. This is the first time I've ever told anybody this. My friend on the phone, I don't even remember if I hung the phone up. My life was altered after that. My friends I was a hero with my friends. They called her the bag. Hey, Daryl, could you set me up with the bag, the old bag? I went for my hip replacement about 2 years ago, and I ran into one of my old friends from high school. And he said, hey, remember the old bag, the bag? And I just froze. I put that stuff all out of my mind. I didn't think anybody, it was my secret, and I forgot that he knew. This is grooming. The reason he did this is it made me part of the conspiracy. I still have never told my mother this. I've never told anybody this except you guys today. That is grooming. That's grooming. Not this princess Disney stuff. People getting counseling and doctors help. Trans people getting help, getting counseled because their life's chaotic, because their body doesn't match their mind. It's a real thing. That's not grooming. That's helping people. This, a 50-something-year-old man, cop, a professional woman in her 30s, and a 12-year-old boy in a bedroom, that's grooming. Don't mistake the two. This happened again with another woman. I couldn't say anything. After that point, I felt I was complicit in it. I let them into the house. It happened with another woman. This woman, the next woman it happened with, had a son that he was also abusing. How did I know this? Because one of those penthouse Playboys that he gave me, a picture fell out of the boy. The boy was even younger than me, laying on his bed, naked. I've never told anybody this either. He would give me quarters. I used to like asteroids back then, and he would give me a roll of quarters so I could go play asteroids after he did what he wanted to do. And and I realized, I was like, I'm a 12-year-old prostitute. That's the way I used to look at myself. All right, that's enough for today. That's grooming, guys, not this Disney stuff. You guys have a good Saturday.